Super. Okay, and then let me get this up. Okay. Wait, that's not the one I wanted. I'm gonna do the other one. Okay. I don't think that's what I wanted either. Stop sharing. I swear I'm gonna get this right at some point. Okay, great. All right, folks. Can I get a thumbs up from someone to make sure you can see the presentation? Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you. All right, as I said, welcome, folks. This is the Arts and Humanities Fellowship Program for FY26. Thank you all for being here on a Saturday. I know it's gearing up to be a beautiful day, and I hope you all have plans for later today to enjoy this. So I will try to get us through this as pleasantly as we can so we can go enjoy our days. All right, ready? Let's get in. So the Arts and Humanities Fellowship Program, first, we're going to start with a land acknowledgement. Is like we like to start all of our public meetings to recognize the Nacotchtank and Piscataway people, the first residents of the land that would become the District of Columbia. And every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life. Some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. And we begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We stand on the ancestral lands of the Nacotchtank and the Piscataway people, and we pay respects to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here together today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events, and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. All right. So this is the mission of the DC Arts Commission. We have been established in 1968. We're an independent agency within the government that evaluates and initiates actions on matters relating to arts and humanities for the district. We are supported primarily through district government funds and in part by the National Endowment for the Arts. So some notes about accessibility. We do have Google Translate available on our website. So there should be a section if you need to have the web page translated that it will do kind of that Google Translate. But if you do have any reasonable accommodation requests, you need a fuller translation, anything about accessibility, please contact us. We have a new contact here. It is cahaccessibility@dc.gov. And we ask that we get that no later than 5 business days before the start of an event. So if you need an interpreter or any other services, do let us know. And then most other questions can go through our cah@dc.gov. Jenna Kriegel is our accessibility coordinator at the office. And is more than happy to assist you. But we do have this new email and we're trying to spread the word that we have this accessibility contact. All right, and then just a little preview up top before I dive into this. We do look for grant review panelists. We are, we'll get into what that entails, but we do need review panelists. We are recruiting constantly. Panelists are really integral to our grant making process. All of the applications are sent for review. And we are looking for diversity in our panelists: age, race, gender, ability, orientation, discipline, all sorts of things. So if you are interested, we would love to have your assistance and your guidance. You can be an applicant and you can be a reviewer. So if anybody is concerned about having to pick between one or the other, you can do both. And you can reach out to us with any questions on that. All right, so I'm going to go through the agenda here. Now that we've gotten the basic housekeeping away, we're going to do the basics of the program. We're going to do the cohort, staff, and contacts, talk about the eligibility and the deadline, some required questions that are going to be part of the application, the narrative section, the uploads, how to use the portal, required documents, and I'll try to make this as painless as possible. I do want to mention we have a chat. If you have any questions that come to mind, I do encourage you to use the chat box. I've got some breaks where we can do questions and answer, but I do love the chat for a reason. All right. Let's dive in. So what is this program? This is the fellowship. It's an award as an annual grant given to artists to support their continued arts and humanities work. So who can apply? DC-based, DC resident arts and humanities practitioners above the age of 18. How much is the award? For the last few years, it has been a flat award amount for all awardees, and we do endeavor to award as many grantees as we can. We are limited by the number of applications we receive and the amount of funding we have available. But just for some perspective, the current year, the award amount is $7,000. And do you need a specific project? No, you need that for the projects, events, or festivals grant, but not for the fellowship. This is an open grant, and we ask that you use the funds however you need to in order to support your artistic practice. Does that mean you are spending it on rent for your residence or studio space? Fantastic. Are you using it to pay for supplies? Also great.
Get it out.
We've got lots of choices. All right. So the grants for the fellowship staff, this is a large program. We have a lot of applicants every year. It is a very large program. It's one of our largest programs that we manage here at the commission. So we have a lot of staff contacts for you. We're going to go into what the different cohort breakdowns mean, but for all general questions about this program, you can reach out to me. I'm Carrie Kaliba. I don't think I introduced myself at any point, but that's me. Feel free to reach out to me for any general questions, and I can connect you with somebody if I am not the right person to talk to you about something. We have, as you can see, a whole lot of folks, but we do have these 10 cohort breakdowns, broadly speaking. We've got dance with Marcia Howard. Design is back with me. Go-Go artists with Patience Rowe. Humanities is Kayla Williams. Interdisciplinary artists is Tanya Myers. Media artists will be Mauricio Pita. Music is Robert Nunez. Teaching artists is Andrea Brown. Theater and performing arts is Sherry Feldman. And visual arts is Danielle Gray. So this is our team. As you can see, there's a lot of us. If you can't reach one of us, you can reach another one of us. We're all here. We can all help with the program, but we all have our different specialties. So for eligibility, we do need you to be an artist, arts professional, or humanities practitioner, at least 18 years of age. We need you to be a District of Columbia resident for at least 1 year prior to the submission deadline. We need you to have a permanent DC address as listed on your government issued identification or tax returns. We cannot accept a post office box. If you are in a housing transition phase or anything like that, do please reach out to us so we can talk through your situation and see what we can work with. And then we do ask that you maintain DC residency through the fiscal year period, which is going to be October 2025 to September of 2026. I've had some folks already reach out to me with questions about, well, what if something happens during the year and I have to move? Some things in my life are really uncertain because of world events. Totally fine. Reach out to us. We're happy to talk about it. Just keep the lines of communication open. We try to be very open about discussions that we can have and what people's circumstances might be. And then also be in good standing with us here at CAH. Primarily what that means is that if you are a prior year grantee, you should have all your reports in, and we'll reach out to you if we have any issues, but you can also check in with us at any time. And then also be current on taxes and liabilities owed to the district or have an approved plan. This is part of the Clean Hands document, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means here. If you are not if you apply for a Clean Hands through the Office of Tax and Revenue and it comes back as non-compliant, or you've got some circumstance that you are working on, that does not mean you should not apply. It just means that we need to be aware of it. These are district funds, and so they go through the same channels as the Office of Tax and Revenue, and we want to make sure that you are getting your money. So we just want to, again, keep the lines of communication open. We're happy to work with you. And I did not update this slide, but most of this information is correct. Eligible individuals may submit one grant application to this program. If you have submitted an application to the Projects, Events, and Festivals grant earlier this year for an individual, you can still apply to this. If you are the representative of an organization and it is your name that is on an organization's application, that application belongs to the organization. You can still apply as an individual. But those applications must be submitted online by 10 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, June 26, 2025. I need to update this, but it is Thursday, June 26 at 10 p.m. And all of those application materials need to be submitted online through our grants portal. All right. I saw a couple questions come through. I want to make sure I answer those first. If you are awarded this grant, will it limit your eligibility for other CAH grants in the same fiscal year? No. We do not take into account for the individual grants if you are receiving other grants from us. It should not have any impact on your eligibility. If we were talking about organizations, there are some requirements and some restrictions about what grants organizations can receive, but for individuals, this does not limit your eligibility for any other grant. If your address on the Clean Hands is an old address, but the tax information is current, OTR seems to take a little while. There's a little lag on those addresses on Clean Hands. That's fine. We'll probably want to double check with you and make sure we know what is the correct and current address. But we know that that one has a little bit of a lag. So you might get a check-in from us that's just like, hey, did you move? When did you move? Which one's accurate? We want to make sure our records are correct, but it'll be okay. Will funding be impacted by the reduction in staff and new policies at the NEA? Boy, that's a good question. I do not have a solid answer for you at this time, to be perfectly honest. This grant is almost entirely funded through taxpayer funds, so it's really more impacted here by the budget. And we are still in the process of receiving budget guidance from the mayor's office coming down to us. So we're going to find out. But stay tuned. I am as eager as anyone for updates. Received Clean Hands for a recent project grant. Do I need to request again for the fellowship grant? No, if you did it recently and you've got the file and the form, that's fine. Just use that same one. I do have a slide coming up where I'll talk a little bit about Clean Hands. It's very easy to get a new one, actually. But I think not everybody knows how that process works. And so I do want to take some time to show that, if that works. All right. Okay. Are there other questions, or can I move forward a little bit? Okay, great. All right, so let me talk real quick about the application itself. I do want to mention here, we have an RFA, a request for application, on our website. And after I'm done with the presentation, I'll share some of those links out. I don't have quite enough screens at the moment. And I do encourage and I do ask that everybody take some time to read it. It looks very dense. A lot of it is just legalese boilerplate stuff that is, but we do have all of the information in there as well. And it's really good as a resource. But for the application, we are going to ask for your name, your address, some basic information. If you are a returning applicant, a lot of this is already in your profile in the portal. Just make sure it's all still up to date. There are narrative questions. These are going to be 3 short answer questions, and then work samples. Depending on your cohort, your art medium, roughly speaking, we are looking for 10 images or 2 up to 5-minute audio visual recordings, or 10 pages of a writing sample, or a reasonable mix of different forms. If your art practice takes a couple of different forms, then maybe it's a video and it's 1 video and 5 pages of a writing sample. Maybe it's 5 images and a video. It can take a lot of forms. If you have questions about that, I do encourage you to reach out to us. Your grant managers are here to answer those questions. And then a couple of compliance documents we need for eligibility and processing. For any folks who are returning, who have received this in the past or have applied to this program in the past, it is virtually the same. We updated the dates, but it is almost the same entirely. So that should be great. But let's go through a couple of pieces here. One thing, this is open to 10 arts and humanities disciplines. We identified these for the purposes of panel organization. So your art practice may not fit perfectly in any one of these 10, and we are here to help navigate that and help place you in a way that makes sense. We want this, and we have this organization largely so we can put your application in front of panelists who can understand your work. We want work to be seen by people who get it and who are capable of getting it. So broadly speaking, our categories are dance. So all forms of dance. This is a very broad interpretation. Design arts. This can be anything from jewelry design, fashion design, architectural renderings. It's very big. Go-go artists. If you are affiliated with the go-go community, you are a musician, you are any part of that community and that practice, this is where you belong. Humanities is largely speaking going to be very literary based. It's where the writers go. If you are an author, if you are a researcher, a historian, humanities is where you'd go. Interdisciplinary is our space for people whose practices don't necessarily fit neatly. You are an author illustrator. You are many things. I'm blanking now. I have so many examples and they all just want to write out of my head. A curator, any sorts of work where your practice draws on multiple other disciplines, you tend to fit better in the interdisciplinary category. Media arts, this is where we get a lot of our video and documentarian work, and filmmakers. Music, musicians, performers, very, again, broad spectrum of what music is going to be. Teaching artists, if you are an instructor, theater and performing arts, and then visual arts, again, very broad interpretations of all of these. If you are uncertain of what discipline you fit in, we suggest look at your artist statement, look at your work samples and support materials you plan to upload, take a step back, really see what kind of story they're telling. You want to choose a category that best reflects your artist statement, your work samples, and your support materials. Where do you feel most confident presenting yourself? So for example, in my not here life, not presenting life, I do a lot of fiber arts and fiber craft. I might think about myself there as a design artist or a visual artist based on the work I produce, except for the part where a lot of my practice now is teaching. So maybe my work samples are going to be less the items that I produce and more the documentation of my teaching experience and the work that I'm doing to share my craft with others. That might be part of the process. And if I'm unsure about any of that, contact a grant manager. We have these conversations all the time. We do them very often. We're very comfortable with having these conversations. And I do want to take a note here to mention that after June 26, when we are in the process of reviewing your applications before they go to panelists, sometimes we will look at your materials and we might say, I don't know that you've chosen the right discipline. And then we'll usually reach out to you. That does not happen terribly often, but every once in a while, we'll see an application where we might say, I think you would fit better here, and we would want to check with you before we tried moving you. Again, this is about who sees your work. Okay. So when you log in, we have some required responses in that application. We want your name. We want this to be your name as it appears on your official tax documents or W-9. This is what we need for our processing and for our contracts. We will also ask for a few other things. Have you applied for a grant? Have you received a grant? Has your address changed? All of this is really just informational. It does not impact your application's reception in any way. And then we have a narrative statement where we're going to ask for some questions. We do recommend that you compose them in another program and then cut and paste your text in. It's just fun to edit. So these are going to be an artist statement, a work statement, and a community statement. Broadly speaking, the way I think about these is the artist statement is why you do what you do. What is it that makes you an artist? Why are you drawn to make art? The work statement is what artistic practice do you do? What is the work that you are actually creating? And then the community statement is why are you in DC? What makes you a DC artist? Why have you chosen or to stay, or are you drawn to DC, or any number of things? What has made you a DC artist and made this the home of your practice? And there's a lot of ways you can think about that. All of these things, there's a lot of broad ways to think about it and go through it. So just diving in a little bit more with the artist statement and the why do you do this, we're looking to get a picture of who are you as an applicant? What is the passion? How do you come to this art? So the categories this gets drawn to in our criteria for scoring are going to be, are you demonstrating creative and original ideas? And or are you holding and preserving and interpreting traditional art forms? We hold both things very powerfully. The applicant statement and work samples are demonstrating a personal voice and artistic vision. We're looking for a clear and unified body of work. Are you, based on the work that you do and the words that you give us, do we have a sense of who you are, or is there a mismatch? The work statement is what do you do? This is a space, we have a couple spaces for clarifying your work samples to the panelists. This may be a chance to discuss how to view your work in more detail, how you should give guidance on how work might be viewed or interpreted. The statement and the work samples are going to demonstrate your technical capabilities within that chosen discipline. And those samples should match the chosen cohort and support your artist statement. Again, if you have any questions about where you fit or anything like that, that's what we're here for, and we're happy to do it. And then the community statement. So how are you inspired by the district? How do you contribute to the district? How do you define your artistic community? That may be as small as your neighborhood, and that may be as broad as the world, where you are the DC resident to a global community of artists. How are you reflecting and engaging and responding to our residents and visitors? How are you representing work in other markets? This does not mean that we're looking for you to produce work that has DC splashed all over it. It's thinking about how you are part of this larger artistic community within the city. Any questions? I had one or two come through. What an excellent question. Does podcasts fall under media, or is it based on the topic? We spend a lot of time talking about podcasts, not going to lie to you all. My instinct is to say media, but my instinct is also to say humanities. I am going to put Mauricio's email in here. Mauricio is our contact for media, and he is who I would start with. You can also start with me, but I'll just send you right to him anyway. And we can talk about it. This is sometimes a thing where 2 or 3 grant managers might end up on a call with you as we talk you through parts of your application. So yeah, we'll start with Mauricio and then we'll go from there. If you are applying for a second or a third time for the grant, should we use different work samples, or is it okay to use the same samples? Great question. It is okay to use the same samples. Our work samples, and I have a slide coming up on that, we ask that they be no more than 3 years old. So if you applied last year and you have samples that were a year old at the time, totally fine to use them again this year. It is also okay if you are applying for a second or third or fourth or 12th time. If you stand by your artist statement and your work statement and you feel that it is still relevant to you and speaks to who you are as an artist, that's okay. I do encourage anybody who is returning as an applicant to take some time to read over any statements that you have. And take this moment to pause and reflect on yourself as an artist. Is this still who you are? Have circumstances changed in your life? But yes, it is okay to reuse materials. We do have a new group of panelists every year, so it's not the same eyes on your work. Any other questions, or can I move forward? Okay. Okay, so some of the application documents we're going to ask for: an artistic resume, work samples, and support materials. So let's dive in. Your artistic resume or CV, this is what we're looking for here, is your arts and humanities work. So not necessarily the resume you might submit for a job application, but the one that might go as your artistic guidance. The style of that, we do not have any expectations on style. It is what you need it to be and what it should look like. But we're looking really for a record of your professional experiences and artistic achievements. We want the focus to be on the artworks that you do. This may be substituted for a list of projects completed within the last 3 years, but it can be any number of things. Do you have a CV of your written works? Do you have a headshot resume? Whatever it might be. But really, we want the focus to be about your art practice. And like I said, we have no expectations. It can be formatted however you need it to be formatted. Just submit it as a PDF. We'll get there. Your work samples, as I mentioned, the requirements and limits depend on your discipline and on the work that you do. And then again, I'm going to say this so many times: if you have any questions about your practice or how it fits, contact a grant manager. This is what we're here to do and to help with. But we do ask that work samples be no more than 3 years old. So that's what, 2023? No, 2022. Time is funny. So for image files, JPEGs or PNGs, I do want to make a note here because this has been an issue in the past, usually not for work samples, but in general. If you are taking photos on an iPhone, the file type is a .heic, and that is not supported by our portal. Usually it's fine. Things are coming through as JPEGs, but just I want to mention that if people are trying to do a quick snapshot of things. Audio files, we can take an MP3. We can take document files. We do ask that you save them as PDFs. We are all Windows-based here at CAH, and so I cannot open pages or numbers files very easily. And some of our panelists are working on Mac-based products, and they cannot open a Word file very easily. So we do ask for PDF. It's a little more secure. It's a little more stable across whatever platform you are using. And then for video files, we can take a YouTube link. We can take a Vimeo link. We can take MP4s. Links are really great, especially if you've already uploaded things. And for anything that might be password protected, we do ask that you include that password somewhere in the work samples information. And this is really important. If you want panelists to view your work, it must be in the portal. It must be uploaded. The video must be attached and uploaded. The files need to be uploaded. We do not want a list of links to direct anyone to another site. Panelists are specifically guided to not follow links. So we need that YouTube link, but we don't want a list of links. So I don't want to see any work samples that are a PDF document that say, for more of my work, please visit my website or check out my Instagram or anything like that. Take the time to curate your work. It's a good time for reflection. So support materials, these are any documents or materials that reflect your discipline or your practice that are not specifically work samples. They serve to strengthen the application, provide additional information, but again, not a work sample. And these are whatever your art form is going to guide what these look like. We do not have a specific guidance of, well, we need to see this type, and this type. So some examples, contracts for past or future work, If you're a performing artist, maybe you've got some programs, some playbills, some reviews of your work. Maybe you've got some letters of recommendation, some surveys and evaluations. Were you part of an exhibition? Again, do you have reviews or awards? Do you have mentions? Do you have interviews? Do you have all sorts of things? It is a very broad thing, and it's going to look very different. All right, let me check in on the chat here. Is a film that's in progress acceptable as a work sample? Yes, it is. This is a great time to have as a work statement, hey, this is my film in progress. We have absolutely received work samples in the past that are works in progress. We can see where your vision is going. Yeah, totally happy to have things like that. It does not have to be perfect or complete. You know, you've got a workshop in progress, great. You are preparing for an exhibition and maybe your 10 images are half your completed work and half your upcoming work that's in progress. All of it's great. Should the support materials also fall within the window of the past 3 years? Preferably, we'd like to see some of the recent things. We do take into consideration COVID as a disruption to the work, but we do, but again, that's the thing, you can always touch base with us. I do want to mention that I am aware that some projects, we are aware, it's not just me, we are aware. Some projects take a long time. If you have I know I've got some of these. If you are doing a photography project where you are documenting 20 years of changes in a space, if you have been working on a collection of short stories for the last 15 years, there we have some room to wiggle around the 3 years, but we need to see that this is part of a continuation and not just, oh, here's something I did a long time ago and here's the thing that I did now. We'd like to say, here is where I started, here is where it's going. And how many support materials are recommended? We'd like to keep that around 3. For all of these things, a lot of our guidance in limits in how many samples or how many things are provided, we're mostly asking that we not overwhelm the panelists. At some point, it becomes too much. So support material 3 is great very often. You can bundle things though, if you want to think about it in terms of categories. If you have, like, let's say you have 4 reviews of the work you've done from City Paper or something like that, combine them into one PDF and call that one work sample. And it's just reviews. If a work sample is more than 10 pages long, is it okay to upload the full sample and expect the reviewers may only read the first 10? Yes, that's okay. Also okay, I don't remember if I have this. If you have let's say a long video, you have a recital that you had recorded and it is 20 minutes long and it's on YouTube and it's really great. We do not expect you to edit that down to 5 minutes. You can give us the YouTube link and then just give us guidance in the work sample statements or in the titles that say, here's my spring recital, please go to these timestamps to view. That's acceptable. We're not asking for a hard edit if it's going to be a burden on you in any way. Do you have to use up all the award money in 1 year? No. There's no project, so I just want you to get paid. We do have reporting requirements for this grant, but we do not ask for receipts. Unlike all of our project grants where we do need to have documentation of how the funds were spent, for the fellowship, we expect you to spend the funds however you need. So when I come calling in a year to get your report, what I'm going to ask for is just documentation that you received the funding. And hopefully we will have already established you got the funding because we got you paid and stuff and we're not having a crisis, but that's really what we're going for. Is there an ideal person for letters of recommendation? For example, would you prefer that person be a DC resident? The ideal person for letters of recommendation is the person who can speak to the work.
You have a manager.
So like with any letter of recommendation, you want someone who can speak to the work that you do with authority and kindness, and can speak to your to who you are. How should we label support materials? Is there a space to explain what each one is? Yeah, there's a section in the portal for where support materials go, and you can title things there. And I've seen that done in a lot of different ways, where it's just, here's reviews I have received in the last year, or things like that. And usually it's pretty okay. All right. All right, I'm going to dive into the portal itself. All right, so you've sat through this whole presentation. You have read through the RFA. You are feeling ready. You are jazzed. You're going to do this. So start by going to our website at dcarts.dc.gov. Go to programs and find in that drop-down menu grants. This has probably changed a little bit layout-wise, but it is still programs, grants, etc. When you get there, you will find a long list of things on our CAH grants page, including current funding opportunities, links to our application assistance. I'll talk some more about those in a bit. Information for panelists, and then you go down, 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 and you will find a section where the RFAs are, fillable PDF copies of required documents, and a link to our grants portal. And that, when you get there, looks like this. When you get here to our grants portal, I want to just reiterate, if you are brand new to this process, you're going to click on the green button that says sign up today. If you already have an account because you have applied in the past, you're going to sign in. I know it's small, it's hard to see, but that's where you're going to go. If you have any questions, if you sort of think you may have applied in the past, but you forgot, reach out to us. We can check for your account. This is a good time if you are returning, and also if you are signing up, that we want your name and address to match the name and address on your grant documentation. So things like your W-9 and your statement of certification. If you are planning to move in the next 4 months or so, just let us know, so we can keep an eye on it. There's some other systems we would want to update, but we do want to make sure we've got the correct information for communications with you. And then you get into your application itself. And I want to take a moment here to really talk about naming yourself, because I know everybody's name is very important to themselves. Your applicant profile name is your government name. We need that for paperwork and for any contracts we might enter into with you, but your request is the working name, how you wish to be addressed as an artist and as a person. It's the one that you want the panelists using to talk about who you are and to recognize you as who you are. So applicant name is government name, request name is the name we should know you by. Also, what you're going to find here is a section for your practitioner type. This is going to be a super long list. It's the one we got from the NEA. This is going to be the breakdown of, oh, I'm not just a painter, I'm a watercolorist. I'm not just a dancer, I'm a tap dancer. That, choose how you wish to identify yourself, but the panel cohort one, where we ask about where you are best represented for your practice, that's the one where we're going to organize you into those 10 cohorts. And if you, again, I'm going to say it so many times, if you have questions, if you are unsure at any point, do reach out, please. We want to talk to you about this. Great. So let's dive a little bit into work samples. When you get to the work samples, if you have a new application, you're going to start with the green application button up here. If you start an application and you want to come back to it, so let's say you start today and you don't want to be done until sometime in June because you're thinking, great, that's fine. You can leave it in draft. Your open applications and your submitted applications over on the left-hand side are going to have your current applications that are in process, but also prior year applications. If you want to go back and look at materials you may have used for a prior application, this is where you can go back and look at those materials. Maybe you thought, oh, you know, I phrased that really well last year. Let me go back and reread that. And then your open requests also are going to be down at the bottom these are going to be where you'll find your drafts and can keep an eye on them. And then here, after you've gone through a couple of your questions, here's the work samples section. So we've got to provide a statement about the work samples represents your work. And then we've got this media viewer. So the media viewer is going to be for photos, for video, and for audio. For all of this, we suggest we need you to upload it first to your media library and then attach it to the application. So your media library is a separate part of your portal, and that's where you can put as many things as you want. If you want to put up and include 20 images, 40 images, whatever it is, you can put them there and then curate out of that. If you have been an applicant for many years and you have a lot of things in there, maybe take some time to review it. See if there are things that are too old and you want to clear them out. If you already have some things uploaded in there that you want to use again because it was a good sample last year and you want to use it as a sample again. But you're going to upload to the media library and then attach from there. And if we can't see it here in the media viewer, then the panelists can't see it either. So we just want to make sure you're doing that. So in that media viewer, when things have been attached, it should show like this. We should be able to see kind of the preview page of a video. We should be able to see the image that has been attached. So it's a two-step process. But here in your media files, this is where you would do that upload. So you've got a description where you could title your work. Great place to do timestamps. If you've got something that's long, you've got that 20-minute recital video. You've got some other thing that's very long. Or if it's password protected, you've uploaded it to Vimeo and you put a password on it so that your work can be protected for any reason, but you want to share it with the panelists. You know, my work here, password, go team. It's just a good time to check on secrecy. We can take a direct link from YouTube or Vimeo. You can just copy and paste that URL. It should show up properly. And then for other things like MP4s and MP3s, you'll want to upload them directly. If you run into problems, again, just reach out to us. We have limited abilities, but we can do tech support. And then, excuse me, after everything's in the media library, we got to attach to the application. So back in the application, when you click on attach media, it should open a pop-up window where you will be able to click on the items that you want to add. You'll click on the title on the left-hand side. I do want to note, this is a thing that has been known for a while, but I just want to be real clear about this. If you have images, they will resort themselves from however you attach them to the application to be viewed in alphabetical order by the title. So if you have to have things or you want things to be viewed in a particular order, I suggest numbering them. And that you can have the title, but just start it with a 1, 2, 3. If you wanted to display in a particular order or you wanted to match the order for your work, for a work statement. It's just a quirk of the program, but it will resort itself alphabetically. My bypass has been just put a number on it. I saw a couple questions come through. Let me get to those. Did you hear me say that I suggested film applicants select the media cohort? Yes, you did hear me say that. I did. Yes, a lot of times film ends up in media. And if you feel strongly that it belongs somewhere else, because I know there's a lot of like media installation artists, and sometimes you do tend back towards my visual artists. If you have questions, that's another thing of come talk to us. Really, truly come talk to us. And how do I suggest we'll handle 15-minute films? Yeah, this is one where you're going to include the timestamps. It might be that panelists
so like a little lighter.
but we do suggest that you give timestamps. It can be in the title of the work. It can be in the work statement. And sometimes the staff will watch the full ones because we liked watching your samples too. Yeah, don't feel like you need to cut anything. I don't want anybody to feel like they have to do additional work to come up with a perfect reel. We want to see a focus on really what's the best representative of your work. So yeah, if it's a 15-minute, 20-minute, 2-hour feature, whatever it is, we want to have a timestamp so we know where to scroll to and focus in. Great. All right. Any other questions about the portal? No? Super. I love it. All right. So a couple of other documents we're going to require for the application. We do need proof of your DC residency. For that, we are asking for your license or ID card or alternate proofs of residency. I like to follow voting rules for this as in terms of guidance, how you would prove your residency for voter registration. So utility bills, copy of your lease, anything like that. Feel free to redact sensitive information. I don't need to see your credit card number. I don't need to see your cable bill account number. I just need to see that you've got a cable bill. Statement of certification, that is a required document from DC government. IRS Form W-9, I know, you said to me that you already gave me one. I know, I need a new one every year. And then the certificate of clean hands. So residency, we'll take the driver's license, we'll take an ID card, but of alternate proof, might be a lease, might be a utility bill, might be a bank statement. Again, redaction, mark out any sensitive information. Passports are not proof of residency. If you have concerns about anything, you are in the process of moving, you are unhoused at any point, just talk to us. We're happy to work with you and figure out what works best. The statement of certification. This is a required document from the district. What this does is it tells us who we can negotiate with on your behalf, or who you can have negotiating on your behalf, really. You are self-certifying, really. You don't need to find somebody else to be your deputy here for statement of certification. Really think of it this as you are self-certifying. But just, it's a fairly simple thing, but we've got a fillable PDF form. Excuse me. We're going to ask for your name. You're an individual. We want your address. It should match the other places where we've asked for your address. And then the grant program, which is going to be the FY26 AHFP FY26 fellowship. Just some indication that that's what the grant is we're talking about. And then your name and address. There are 4 pages to this document. The first page gets filled out, and on the last page gets signed. We are, for all of our signatures, I've gone too far. We need it to be an ink signature, a handwritten signature, or a verified e-signature. So that could be Adobe or DocuSign, or Dropbox has that service now. If you are doing this on a tablet or something where you can scribble with your name, great. We just need it to be not a fancy font. That's the big thing. As long as we can see that it is either an inked or done by hand or a verifiable e-signature. And if you have problems with this, something's not working, again, reach out to us so we can help work with you and get this sorted. We do need an IRS W-9. For anybody who may have applied for the Projects, Events, or Festivals grant a few weeks ago, and you had a new W-9 for that application, I will take that one. I'm okay with that. You don't need to sign a new one for me directly. But if you haven't, I do need a new W-9 for most folks. It needs to be the most current version. That's the March 2024 version. Again, your name should match on all the documents. Make sure you're checking the correct box in section 3 that this is for an individual. You are applying as an individual. Got to be a DC address and not a PO box. Really important for me to mention here. I don't think I've mentioned this yet. We need to have your social security number here for your tax ID. We cannot pay out the individual awards because of DC guidelines to an LLC. So if you have a sole proprietorship LLC, I know it's what a lot of us do. We have to pay you as an individual according to your social, not to your EIN. It's just a thing to note there as you plan. And then, of course, signature in ink, manual or verified electronic one, and then save it as a PDF. Again, if you have any problems with this, it's not working, you can't get it scanned right, whatever it is, reach out to us so we can help. All right, so the clean hands. You're going to apply for this at the MyTax office, mytax.dc.gov, and you'll download the PDF as a certificate, download a PDF of your certificate. If you are unable to attain a certificate of clean hands by that deadline, you may still apply for this grant, but you gotta tell us. Just reach out to us. Let us know what the situation is. Tell us what's going on so we can be aware and how we can help you. But you register for this. If you are getting this for the first time, you have to register with OTR and you're going to request a certificate of clean hands. If you already have one, because you got one anytime after April of 2020, you can validate that's clean hands. It's in the system and you can get a new one by clicking on validate. So there's a clean hands box. It's with the lady and there's a door and it says open and it says clean hands under that. And there's 3 options, request, validate, and learn more. So request is the first time you do it. And after that, you can validate it forever. What you need to do that is you have a notice number in the top right-hand corner of your form. It starts with an L and it has about 12 digits after it. And then you've got your tax ID, which is the last 4 digits of your social security number. So you click on validate and it's going to give you a couple of prompts where you put in your notice number, so L, 12 digits, and the last 4 digits of your social, and you say validate, and it will say compliant or non-compliant. And if it's compliant, just save that updated certificate as a PDF and submit it. If it says non-compliant, don't panic. It's probably not a big deal. I don't know your life. With non-compliant just means you owe the government more than $100. And that could be from a parking ticket. That could be just you haven't paid your quarterly taxes or something like that. It's usually not a big deal. Once in a blue moon, it means that we have caught a much larger issue, and that's great. And now we can solve a much larger issue. But validation is a nice, faster way to get the clean hands. And then just for best results, please save and upload all grant materials as PDF files, and please keep your name and address consistent. We have to go back and check and fix it sometimes. And if you have any questions, do reach out to a grant manager. And I'm going to take a quick pause here. I saw some questions come through and I want to answer them before I go into kind of my closeout things. Boo, boo, boo. Statement of certification, must it match date of submission? Okay, a week plus minus. Yeah, it is. If it's the kind of thing where today you say, I'm going to do my W-9 and my statement of certification, and I'm going to get those in, and I'm not going to finish the application until June 20, that's fine. Totally fine. We want it as close to the application time as possible, but kind of within this period is great. The statements need to be a specific length. We have a word count guidance of about 400 words. And we do recommend, I recommend very often, having somebody who is not affiliated with your artistic life, your friend who supports you in all things, read your statements, because they're sometimes the best guidance you can get. The portal will say we want 400 words. It's not going to immediately shut down at 401. If your statement needs another couple extra words, fine. If your statement is a tidy and neat 100 words, also great. Everybody has different needs. We just don't need an essay. We want to keep it, kind of reasonable. you're having problems with my text for your individual clean hands, try again Monday. Yeah. You can also send us an email. We sometimes have guidance. Sometimes it's been really bothersome, and truly the best choice is to go to their office in person. And I don't have that information at hand right now. I used to have that like in my head at all times, but they are sometimes much more responsive and faster if you go to this one particular office. But yeah, if with clean hands, yeah, just shoot us an email so we're in the loop. It is a frustrating, glitchy system at times. But if you do have an existing clean hands, you do not need to do the sign in process or anything. You can just validate. And if you applied anytime since the system got implemented in 2020, and you just don't know where that file is, we might have a copy because it was part of your prior applications. Just reach out to us. We're happy to guide you to it. Or it might be if you look at your closed applications in your portal, it's sitting there. Before we close, would you mind saying a few words about whom you'd like to award the grant to? Are we looking for established artists or emerging ones? We would like to award the grant to DC artists. That's it. We don't have a preference or a prioritization around emergent artists or established artists or mid-career artists or any demographic block. It is really truly DC artists and the vast spectrum that we are supporting. And we do panel everything. So let me do a quick little touch base here on application submission to awards. You are in the application period now. When it closes on June 26, Thursday, June 26, we will review for eligibility and completion, and we will sort these cohorts for panel review. We give them to panelists who review and score them, and from there, with our budget, we make recommendations for awards. Those recommendations go to our grants committee, our commissioner oversight, who will then make the recommendation to the full commission, and that is where the final decision is made. And then if you are awarded, we will reach out to everyone with a status of award or non-award early October, on or after October 1 with the start of our fiscal year. And at that time, we will reach out to you. If you are awarded, we ask that you complete and return some required documentation, and then we'll walk you through some of the other process of our payment system. You can also, all applicants, regardless of award status, can request panel feedback notes. We just ask that you wait till November because we are a little overwhelmed in October. It is the start of our fiscal year, and we're in a better state to be really supportive and to get you that feedback starting in November. And like that there. Oh, I paused there and then I had my question spot. Okay, final notes. Let me say that here. Thank you for support. If you, we will have a workshop on the DIF system if you are awarded a grant. Yes, I promise workshops on all of our systems. You may have that. I vow that to you now, and you can hold me to this because I'm recording this and it's going on YouTube. But yeah, we do offer support. We'll have some workshops and things throughout the process. But that being said, support that you might need right now. We do live chats every Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. They are virtual. You can come and hang out with us. They are very informal. It is for all of our open grants at any one time. Come ask questions, sit, listen, whatever you need. They are every Friday. I have these 3 dates listed, but the grant closes on the 26th, and I need to update my calendar here, which means that we will probably be holding one on June 20th, but I just want to remind everyone, June 19th is Juneteenth. We will be closed in observance of that event. And so June 20th, I don't know, you might have a 4-day weekend, but we should have some support available through that. Additional support available. We have more workshops. We have some workshops with us. We are obviously past May 27th. but May 31st is right now. We have additional workshops for the 5th and the 10th. We might put 1 or 2 more up for this program specifically. It will still be this same presentation with maybe one slide updated, but it will be the same information. We'll try to put them up on YouTube. You can register with that. You can also get in contact with any of us. Like I said, we're available. You can set up times with us to do review. If you have your applications kind of ready and you want someone to take a look at them, just let us know. We do ask for some, a little bit of time, and we do want to get those requests in a week before the deadline. That deadline, again, is June 26th at 10 p.m. And I'm giving you all permission here and now that I need to know that you want a review by June 20th, close of business, so that we can make sure we get you the right type of review and adequate support. All right, great. With the contact information for all managers by discipline, I would love to do that. Let me go back there. Oh my gosh, so many slides. So many slides. There we are. Here we are. This is us. It is also on our website. We do have a cohort breakdown. It is also in the RFA. And again, I am Carrie Kaliba, and you can reach out to me at any time. I will reach out. If I'm not the right grant manager to help you, I will connect you with the right grant manager. We got a good team. We got a strong team. We are more than happy to be available. If you are interested in being a reviewer, that information is also on our website. If you also send me an email, mostly just because I don't have enough screens to grab all the links that I need right now, you can send them to me. You can send a note to me. I'll make sure that I get that information to you and connect you with that team. I'm going to pause or stop my recording now. Great.